of mice and men and the difference between men and mice. Warren H. update, which is quite sad to say on Easter holiday, but we're going to go into that topic first. We're also going to talk about Big E in Cebu, and we're going to talk about how to build bridges. Now, these nuts that you see in my hand, this is what I used to build bridges and tunnels. These are very big nuts, and considering the fact that I have been called nuts, I wish to make people aware of what real men doing real work, and the type of building materials that real men doing real work use during the course of their day. So up we have three famous YouTubers. So Big E in Cebu is going to be a big topic in a few minutes. John has been an internet sensation, so welcome to the machine. And Go Bobo Sister has been a supporter of my channel for quite a long time now, and I thank you for that. So what we're going to talk about today is, the first thing we're going to talk about is Warren H. Okay, so yesterday I spoke with Warren H. on Skype for, man, I don't think I was on Skype with Warren for 2 minutes. He was very heavily, he was coherent, but he was very heavily medicated, and it was very upsetting to see Warren like that. We also discussed in that 2-minute period how many messages and how much love has been sent to Warren from all the different people on YouTube. And Warren thanks you all for sending him the messages. And he had 1,300 messages last week, and he had several hundred more since yesterday. It was very depressing talking to Warren. We did have time for Warren to ask me if the money he had sent for the computer had arrived, and he had already known the answer to that because my bank manager gave me instructions for Warren to send the money, and the instructions were incorrect. Now, you would think that the bank manager would have what was known as a code prior to my banking and he neglected to tell me that fact. So for the last 10 days, business days, maybe 6, I called up the bank each day, and of the monies has not arrived yet. However, when that happens, hopefully Warren will be able to get that corrected on Monday if he's out of that. The computer purchase will go forward. The computer purchase will be for a computer called the Asus ZenBook 15 Pro at $3,000 US. So for those of you who are out there directing how I should spend that money and that demanding that I purchase a specific computer and demanding that it should have already been purchased, well, there are physical reasons why it hasn't been purchased. Now, you can go on and critique the banking industry, if you like, for being incompetent, or you could call me a fraud, if you like. And I've heard both of those arguments. Neither one of them is going to gain any ground with any of my subscribers. So carry on in your wayward ways and your haphazard statements. And one more thing I'd like to talk to you about during the course of this dissertation on how to scratch one's galvanized steel nuts. How that happens, because sometimes you have to make a mark on the nuts that you're using. So each box of nuts that comes when you're building a bridge or a tunnel comes with a certification number for the nuts themselves. Now, these nuts are from the 1990s. Now, I have another box of nuts that are bigger than these, but I can't find them. So, but I wouldn't say that these nuts are from men that appear to be mice making false claims on YouTube. I wouldn't say that. These nuts quantify and or qualify someone to be placed into the category of real men doing real work. Now, in the dissertation, there's also going to be a visual part of the dissertation on how to scratch one's nuts, as opposed to before you go into the water, before you go scuba diving. Typically you'll clean your mask, and then you'll rub your snorkel for good luck. You'll rub the snorkel for good luck. There is a difference between rubbing your snorkel and scratching your nuts. So we'll go into a complete dissertation on that, as long as the internet holds up. So I want to go to my notes, and I want to talk to you about Big E, because Big E has been a topic on YouTube for the last few weeks. We're also going to talk about people that have called me incompetent and that I don't know how to build things. We're going to talk about, I do believe there are reasons these people are not able to comprehend my building skills. I think there are mental inhibitors, and that falls under the topic of, it's a topic in a lot of medical journals. It's called too much damn alcohol. That's what it's called. So, but besides that, I have to tell you, the man makes me laugh. And that's what YouTube is all about. Laughing and sharing one's thoughts and feelings. In fact, YouTube or Google created YouTube so that you could do and express yourself on social media. And that's what I do. So another topic will be Supa Chat. Supa Chat. And of course, we will talk about Big E and I. And one major contributor coming from America to bring me a certain amount of love that he's putting towards the Church of Christians Plus. So, oh my goodness, it's already starting and I didn't even bang the pot. Let's see what's going on here. We have Vinny Barbarossa. Vinny Barbarossa with $1.99. So let's get Vinny Barbarossa let's put him on the map. Thank you very much, Vinny Barbarossa. What a cool name, man. I haven't heard that name in 30 years. That is cool. Thank you, Vinny. And Conway in the Philippines. Oh my God. I said the word pot. I should have never mentioned the word pot. I'm not going to be able to see now. It's going to be a happy Easter. Bang the pot. Conway in the Philippines says bang the pot. So let's go get the pot. Let's get this show on the road, because that's why YouTube was created. And in fact, Big E has contributed more to YouTube and the YouTube community in the last 10 weeks than almost any other blogger, by bringing people's awareness. Saab, Aurelio's, the name, I apologize. The Big E channel, and of course, shout out to Chi Corsairs. Let me get the pot, and I'll be back. We have a pot delivery. Oh my God, another super chat. Oh God, the pot. Look at this. I'm going to spin the pot. Let's see what sign comes up when I spin the pot. Oh my God, look at that. It's the Canoy in the Philippines. insignia. And here we go. We're going to bang a pot because we already got a lot. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Canoy in the Philippines. And Vinny Barbarossa. And been a major contributor to Big E's channel in the form of commentary and donations towards Chi Corsairs. And so that Chi Corsairs could have some funds to feed her immediate family and do other things with. Canoy actually donated. Now here's the key word was donated. Canoy donated funds for a specific reason. But there was a caveat. And Canoy said, if there is any money left over from those funds, Chi Corsairs could use the money as she sees fit. However, Chi Corsairs is not going to go broke. We will make that happen, that Chi Corsairs has all the money she needs when the time comes. If I have to do 6 live streams a day for the Chi Corsairs funding, I will. And I will donate my super chat towards the Chi Corsairs fund, whatever it is at the time. So rest assured, Big E will be doing fundraisers. The Hapsters will be doing fundraisers. The gentleman known as there's another gentleman on their channel. He will be doing fundraisers. Many people are going to be doing fundraisers when Chi Corsairs sets out on a mission to Subic Bay. So just get ready for that, because the funding will never stop. So if Biggie wants to give me the name of that person, Jack Thompson has already assured Chi Corsairs is on a mission, and Big E confirms that mission will take place. Thank you, Big E. What is the name of that other gentleman with the beard, Big E? I forget his name. I don't have it in my notes. So, Canoy in the Philippines, pot time. So this is basically, I guess you could call this little fella here, Canoy, a pothead, yeah? A pothead in the Philippines, baby. Now, I have to add the caveat, I don't smoke pot, nor do I do any other chemicals in any, whether they be pharmaceutical chemicals or street chemicals. I am absolutely 100% opposed to anyone even having access to 99% of all pharmaceuticals. I am opposed to that. And one day I might do a live stream with Big E, and we will talk about this. Now, I want to add something. I'm going to put the pot down. Let me be frank about this. If you are filming your legs, do not scratch your nads, says Havoc Master. Oh my God! Oh, that's another super chat. Oh my God! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Havoc Master. He has something to say. He said, let me be frank. If you are filming your legs, do not scratch your nads. Now, nads is another word for itlogs. Itlogs is the Visayan word for eggs. And, of course, everyone knows that you do not scratch your itlogs on public media, because that makes you look less credible, especially if you are scratching your nads and talking about sphinxes. Okay? I just wanted to add to the Havoc Master words of today. If you are talking about sphinxes and scratching your nads, there might be a conflict of I'm not real sure. I was laughing so hard that the tears were coming out of my eyes. They were talking about the Sphinx, the AKA Biggie, and the Neds, and I gotta add the Ned, Bill Riley, the Rileys. Check out the Rileys is the name of the show. So check out the Rileys, the Hapsters, Biggie and Sabu, Chi Corsairs, Michael Fazio, Canoe in the Philippines, and Jack Thompson are all going to make the Chi Corsairs impossible. That's right. That we were going to get to that topic. Do not scratch your galvanized Neds on public media. Just galvanized Neds. The other thing you shouldn't be doing is while the Neds are being scratched, talking about somebody else's Sphinx. Those things, those never the twains shall meet. Thank you. Thank you very much. And the reason I say thank you is because I have been called just about every nasty name on YouTube possible. And I have been criticized for putting a pot on my head. Now, I have been criticized for wearing a fedora. See this fedora? I don't know what a fedora actually means, but I just remember who gave it to me and how I got it. So, but I was ridiculed for 4 or 5 days for wearing a fedora. Can you imagine how much more embarrassing it could if you were caught doing that, doing that thing? Can you imagine how, and then trying to slough it off that I was just scratching my nuts? Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Here is how you scratch your nuts. Okay, this is scratching. I'm done. I'm going to start scratching my nuts, and then I'm going to stop scratching my nuts. This is a visual lesson. Scratching the nuts, not scratching the nuts. But anything more than 3 scratches, it's no longer considered scratching one's nuts. It's considered working. Whatever you think that's trabajo, that means work in Visaya. Anything more than 3 quick scratches like this is not actual scratching. And we'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. So we're going to talk about Big E, and because Big E has been criticized for the last 2 months as being a fraud. So everyone knows that originally Big E and I got off to a bad start. And then one day I said to myself, let me see what this man has to say on the internet. Let me see what he has to say. And I listened to his show, and I listened to his use of the English language, which far and by far supersedes my ability to speak the English language. It probably equals Jack Thompson's ability to comprehend and use the English language to his advantage. Okay, but Big E, so listening to his dissertations and listening to some of the topic matter that he has on his show, I came to the conclusion that this guy is a lot smarter than people give him credit for. And what he was doing was what I accused him of doing, taking over people's live streams, and for a specific reason. He has mastered the art of, some would call it drama, and some would call it gaining people's attention spans. Okay, now there are drama channels that people watch religiously, and then we'll talk about the Church of Christians Plus, because we are 30% into our goal of $100,000 right now. So he religiously came onto people's live streams, and I thought it was rude. So then I watched some of his live streams, and I said, this guy's a lot smarter than I originally gave him credit for. And then I contacted Big E. Even though I had said, I'm not going to talk to that man, I contacted him because I realized I had made a mistake when I judged what he was doing and the reasons he was doing it. His reasons for taking over people's live streams were in fact altruistic and not an egomaniac part of reality. His reasons were altruistic because he had a friend named Chi Corsairs who he wanted her channel to grow. That was his intention. And however he got the attention of the people, he didn't care how he did it. But I actually physically went to sites to see how to attract people to come to your social media. And Big E was doing everything in those blogs of how to attract people to come to people's social media channels. And the entire reason was to bring the attention to a woman named Chi. For whatever reason, and the word Smith appears. Welcome to the machine, Scott Del Fuego. Happy Easter to everybody. And remember, all the people on my channel are real people that I have physically spoken with or will speak with in the near future. Darwin and Saab Travels. Hello, brother Dob, and that's an amazing thing. We are gaining subscribers by the 40 to 50 per month for the last few months. Saab and Darwin are now a YouTube couple, and they were brought together by Big E. So his altruistic intentions to build up Chi Corsair's channel has led to the culmination of a dozen or so people that are eventually going to meet and make videos and do video uploads, and an actual physical real bloggers convention in a beautiful place in the Philippines. So Scott Del Fuego, let me put my glasses on, and being that the wordsmith, let me tell you something about Scott. These nuts here are not big enough. Scott Del Fuego has bigger boys than this. Probably bigger boys than anybody on YouTube. And let's just say there were a top 100 YouTube bloggers, and not necessarily from the Philippines. And let's say that you had to compare their boys to the rest of the people on YouTube. Scott Del Fuego would be up there with the big bad boys right at the top. And I won't tell you why, but I will tell you that Scott Del Fuego has what it takes to be a man, and has his entire life. So when I hear someone call Scott Del Fuego a glorified janitor, I have to laugh, because Scott already made a statement about a year ago that he would, well, he said what he would do if someone said that to him directly. Of course, that would never happen. But Scott Del Fuego, these boys are just a shadow with the sun at the wrong angle to show you what kind of boys Scott Del Fuego has. So you can call him the wordsmith, or you can call him a glorified janitor, but there's one thing I guarantee you. Nobody would say it to his face. That is something I would bet the entire farm on. I'd bet it all. I would take my chances and bet it all that there isn't a man on YouTube, no matter the size and no matter the background, that would insult Scott Del Fuego to his face. Now, with the caveat that most men that are, in fact, and indeed tough in real life wouldn't want to. They would give Scott Del Fuego the accolades and the courtesy that he has earned in life. And the same goes for Big E. I hear all kinds of stories about people going to do this to Big E and they're going to do that to Big E, but in real life, it's never going to happen. It's a story. And YouTube is famous for stories. But one thing I guarantee you, if the people, the 100 people that have the big boys on YouTube got together, we'd all have fun. It would be the laugh of the century if we were allowed to talk about the little people on YouTube, the ones that are blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 what they're going to do. And then in real life, none of that happens. Nothing. It's like, that is why they created the movie title of Mice and Men, because of people like Scott Del Fuego. So let's read the wordsmith. A chant started in the background, like the low rumble of an onrushing F5 tornado. Fazio, Fazio, Fazio! It crashed over the streets of Valona as a hurricane force. People shouting, looking, straining for a glimpse of the new Messiah, the man of the people, the blue-collar genius, the one who will now bring mankind closer to the mystery of the Godhead. I've done some soul-searching, Michael. I have quite possibly been too negative to a certain orange-haired man. If I take into account the terrible accident that took his manhood, I understand his anger. What's going on, Jack Thompson? Oh, my God. That was a mouthful. Wow. Scott Del Fuego on Easter, sharing the love of forgiveness. Sharing the love. He was sharing the love. Sharing the love of forgiveness to even his so-called detractors. And one of those detractors called the great Scott Del Fuego, the wordsmith himself, a glorified janitor. And when Scott heard that, he laughed. He laughed, and we laughed, and he laughed, and we laughed, and we laughed, because we know what the outcome would be. He even said something about tying one hand behind his back. He even said something to that effect. So Scott Del Fuego, being called the glorified janitor, did not hurt his feelings or ego, because he has already proven himself to be a man, as has Big E. And his credentials, aka Big E and Sabu, after I got to know him, quantifies and or qualifies him as a man as well. He is a man who does, in fact, run the businesses that he insinuates he runs. He does not give the name of the business. He doesn't tell you what business it is. I know what business it is, and I know how and what his job function is, but I would never tell anybody on YouTube. That would be for Big E. But when I tell you that after speaking directly to Big E, I know that Big E and what he said he does, that in fact he does what he said he did. Okay? There's no doubt in my mind that Big E has told the people the truth. What he does, he's never told anybody. But what he has said his position in life is in fact real. And I can tell this by the wording that he uses and his knowledge of certain sciences. Okay, now I won't tell you any more than that, other than the fact that anyone calling Big E a fraud or an e-beggar is probably not correct. I can't say you're wrong, but I will say that you're probably not correct. but it depends on your interpretation of e-begging. I have been called an e-beggar and a fraud, and yet I've been called an e-beggar and a fraud because I didn't get a computer. Chi Corsairs, woman of the day. Happy Easter to you, Chi Corsairs. We were just talking about your great channel and the shout out and the help that Big E gave you and Jack Thompson has given us and Canoy in the Philippines has given you and Gogo Bobo's sister has given you and Darwin and Sab Travels has given you and many others because of one common denominator, Big E and Cebu. He brought a group of people together that would have never met had it not been for what I originally thought were egomaniac antics and have now come to the conclusion that it was an intentional methodology instituted to bring people together for you, Chi Corsairs, to help you in your quest through life. And it worked because now Chi Corsairs has 5,000 subscribers since last August. One of the greatest successes on YouTube in the Philippines community. There are other people out there that will never achieve 5,000 subscribers. But moving back to the comments, Jack Thompson, he is not the wordsmith. So the person who consumes too much alcohol is incorrect. Okay, Jack Thompson is not the wordsmith. Jack Thompson is a builder. Another guy on YouTube that has the big boys. Jack Thompson, at an age similar to myself in the near 60s, still climbs ladders and walks roofs. He still stands on top of ladders and hangs rafters. He still works with the hole to make the fence post hole diggers for building. When he builds pole barns, he still operates chainsaws and skill saws. Jack Thompson has real boys. The real boys. A lot of the real boys are here. Canoy in the Philippines. From my conversations with Canoy in the Philippines. Canoy in the Philippines also has real boys. Difference being a different use of the boys in a different way. But if you think that you could walk up to Canoy in the Philippines and call him a fraud, or if you think that you could walk up to Canoy in the Philippines and talk about some sort of negative thing, and you think that maybe you could if there were a lot of people around. But if it was just you and Canoy in the Philippines one-on-one, I think not. I think not. I've listened and talked to some people about Canoy in the Philippines and his background. I think that Canoy in the Philippines has the ability to what we call slap you, backhand you into maybe yesterday or the day before. So talking bad about Canoy in the Philippines and the fact that Canoy super chatted Chi Corsairs. Whoa, wait a minute. First of all, I hear this all the time. John Escape is in the house. John Escape, welcome to the machine. Oh my God, we have super chat. And we didn't even talk about the Church of Christians Plus, where everyone is welcome to donate to the Church of Christians Plus. And might I remind you, it is better for you to give and myself to receive. The Church of Christians Plus has a motto that's going to go over the front door. Salvation is just a super chat away. That will be our logos over the church doors. And there will be double doors, like in King Solomon's thing, where, King Solomon hung out like that. So let me go back up to the top of these comments here. Scott Del Fuego is saying hello. to Jack Thompson. Big E is saying hello, how and buddy to Darwin and Sab. Shout out to Darwin and Sab, who are now Darwin and Sab. Oh my God, the super chat is flowing. Darwin and Sab, please slow down on the super chat so I can get this topic in. And then we'll go back. We'll go back to salvation is just a super chat away in a moment. I watched Big E's live stream. Now, you people think you can say what you want about Big E, but when you listen to him have a conversation like the woman on the street who put 6 children through college, when you listen to him interview Saab, last night I watched the interview. I got up at 4 o'clock this morning to watch the interview with Saab, and he played a couple of TikTok videos from Saab's channel, and then the last one was Saab scuba diving. Okay, so Saab is an actual real person, and he introduced them to via the Chi Corsairs show and or entertainment facility on YouTube. So when you watch Big E do interviews, a lot of times what he says is crazy, but he does it with the understanding that his show, and he'll tell you in the beginning of the show, this is satire, satire. If you don't know what it means, you have missed the point. The show of myself right now, today, could be considered comedy, could be considered satire, but we have an agenda. And the agenda is to save your wretched souls. So remember, super chat and or salvation is only a super chat away. That's the word of the day. Now, back to my videotape. Back to the show. Back to the show. Chi Corsairs. Shout out from Chi Corsairs. Wow. Scott Del Fuego. A sweet breeze of beauty blows through the chat on Mr. Fazio's channel. Refreshing, cool, and fresh as the evening gust from the ocean. Chi Corsairs loveliness sweeps in. And there's another example of myself making a mistake about another YouTuber. At first, I didn't. Her singing is something else. You gotta admit that her singing is something else. But if you look at it from an entertainment point of view, it's like me singing "The Bear Went Over the Mountains" for Warren H. I sing terrible, but Chi Corsairs makes me sound like a heaven's choir all at once. So we have to thank Chi Corsairs for making my singing ability, which is next to zero or less than zero, and Daisy May's singing ability, which is about maybe a 20 or a 30. Chi Corsairs makes us sound like heaven's gift to mankind. So from that point of view, when she starts singing, now I just laugh. But no matter her ability to sing, it's a show. And that's why people send Chi Corsairs the big bucks. Now we're going to go and we're going to review and we're going to sing the thank you song, which, by the way, is my original ditty on YouTube. I doubt very much that anyone else singing it except Chi Corsairs sings it better. So let's go back to the, back up to the top. Oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And the sound grew softer, and they smiled as their leader walked. Pickazone the bowlers. Scott the Fuego says, and the sound grew softer, and they smiled as their leader walked. Super chat. Salvation is only a super chat away. And then we're going to talk about who is the big donator to the church thus far. Plus, the church has an additional need for money but we won't talk about that until I get the permit to clear the land. So it's not going to be much. I'm thinking not so much at all. Don't worry about it. I'm going to put some of that in from my own coffers from the Church of Christians Plus. Straining for a new glimpse of the Messiah, the man of the people, blue-collar genius, the one who now brings mankind closer to the mystery of the good. The sound grew softer, and they smiled as their leader walked in. Salvation is only a super chat away, baby. That's right. So moving down, we have two super chats that we have to sing for. And as soon as I get my computer, I'm going to be able to put StreamYards on it, because the StreamYards freezes up this computer, and we will all be able to gather around the logos of salvation is only a super chat away. Shout out Darwin from Chi Corsairs. Shout out for the Big E in Cebu. Jack Thompson gives Chi Corsairs 3 sets of hands and some love, baby. And there is a lot of love for Chi Corsairs. And let me tell you one thing I like about Chi Corsairs, and then we're going to move down to the John Escape Super Chat. I keep hearing this, and I'm hearing it, and I'm hearing it, and I'm hearing it, and it's annoying as all get out. Why doesn't Chi Corsairs put her children on social media? And I'm going to tell you the answer to that question. She doesn't answer it, and Big E doesn't answer it that I know of, but I will tell you why Chi Corsairs not only should not put her children on social media, which is the same reason you'll never see a picture of my children on social media. But not only does Chi Corsairs not put her children on social media, but she doesn't talk about her children. And that's a good thing, because there are people out there that are so negative and so low in stature and mental acuity that they would start making up stories about Chi Corsairs' children. Just like the stories that those people out there make up about myself and Miss Daisy May. Do you know that there's a story out there that Warren Hunt and I are gay for each other? Did you know there's a story out there that Warren and I are gay for each other? 2 grown men that have never had much to do with the LGBT community on a one-on-one level. And the connection was just lost. And we just lost the connection. It went back on. So we won't be talking about those words. We did lose the connection, but it did come back on. So John Escape is, we have John. So Chi Corsairs, to digress, doesn't talk about her children. And she shouldn't talk about her children. Nobody should demand that she talks about her children or demand that they see her children. I am absolutely certain that Big E's children, Chi Corsairs' children, and my children are safe from the sycophants on YouTube. The people that will come to my channel and then they will harass and stalk my children on Facebook or other social media, or Chi's children, by sending them, maybe if they have social media. I don't know anything about Chi's children, but I am certain that will be out there stalking Chi's children. 10 minutes after she makes the world know who her children are, there'll be some sycophant on YouTube stalking her children. John Escape, the toilet must be flushed. Oh, we have to go to the Wayback Machine. Let's go to John Escape's comment, and then we're going to go to a major contribution of John Escape, a major contribution to the Church of Christians Plus. We are going to flush the toilet on a next level today. I set it up in case someone made a request. First, we sing the thank you song. In the name of the Lord, it is better for you to give than for me to receive. And our motto at the Church of Christians Plus is salvation is only a super chat away, baby. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Salamat. Now, I told you 45 seconds ago, we are going to flush the toilet on the next level. And we're going to flush the toilet on the next level. I brought out the big boys today because we're going to play with the big toys today. And that includes toilet flushing. You remember in New York was toilet flushing 101. Then the little plastic containers was toilet flushing 102. Well, today we're going to do toilet flushing 103, baby. That's right. Get ready for rumbling of the water into the new and improved, bigger, stronger, more qualified toilet 103 flushing, baby. See this pot? This pot holds a lot, right? This pot holds a lot, right? That's right, baby. It holds a lot. Let's get this pot set up here. Now, what you didn't know about this pot, which is, let's just give it a, we can't do it like, we fell down there. We can't do it a certain way, but we can do it a different way. We have the pot. This is the money pot. And the money pot, as you well know, has the dollar sign on it. So here we go. This is the money pot. Let's see if we get this money pot over here. No. Toilet flushing 103 requires something. Toilet flushing 103 requires big boys, baby. Big boys. Toilet flushing 103. It requires big boys for big toys. And here we go. We have the blue. We have the blue cistern, okay? This is the blue cistern. It was a 40-weight oil container, but now it holds H2O. So here we go. Watch this. Toilet flushing 103. Just when you thought it wasn't possible to do something more stupid than the last thing I did, I create toilet flushing 103, baby. That's right. Toilet flushing 103. In case you haven't heard, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. And now for the pièce de résistance. Toilet flushing 103 for the Warren H. Foundation. Ready? I'm stretching and I'm going to be making love in a minute right here. Look at this. Toilet flushing 103, baby. You've never seen anything like this before in your whole life. This is for John else on YouTube. I dare anybody on YouTube to flush a toilet and make more money flushing a toilet than Michael Fazio. Not possible. Last year, people gave me $1,500 to flush a toilet. They gave me $2,400 to bang a pot and 47,500 pesos to cut my hair, which reminds me, I saw some hair over my ear. I'm going to trim that off right now. Let me get that out of there. See that hair there? That hair is I can feel that hair. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut that hair off and show that to you. And now it doesn't interfere. So just think about this. Right here in my hand, based on 47,500 pesos for cutting my hair last year, there's probably 300 to 500 pesos worth of hair right there. Okay? I just want to share that with you in case you doubt the value of my comedy and my comedy routine. So let's put the toilet away unless we have a special request for another super flush. Super Flush, which is different than Super Chat and completely different than cutting your hair on YouTube. That's right, baby. That was a flush to, and we put these glasses on because they make Warren laugh. And if there's one thing that Warren needs to do, it's laugh. Him and I were almost in tears yesterday talking to each other. Okay, so G Corsairs, let's get back to my videotape. Let's get back to the very hot in here today, too. I gotta tell you. I put this fedora. I got criticized for wearing a fedora. What is the big deal that I put a fedora? He's wearing a fedora. He's wearing a fedora. He's wearing a fedora. Can you imagine he has a fedora? But what does a fedora mean? What is the fedora? The meaning of the fedora? It's a hat. Everybody in New York wore a fedora at one time or another. This is my first fedora. I moved to the Philippines. I never owned a fedora before. I just couldn't see buying a fedora, especially a high-priced fedora like this one that was given to me by 3 Arab men and of a Muslim background. And I told them where the underground river entrance was on the land side, and I told them where the waterfalls was, and I told them how to get to the zip line. Just basic general knowledge because I had been there several times. And I said to the guy, "You throwing that hat out?" He goes like this. "Here, you want this hat?" And he handed it to me. I said, no, I don't want your hat. He goes, "No, you take the hat. You remember me and my friends. You remember me. I'll remember those 3 guys for the rest of my life. Nice, courteous, well-groomed, well-mannered men. Never will I forget them. And this is a tribute to the 3 Arab and or Muslim men I met on the beach in Alona Beach. They were perfect gentlemen to me because I offered them some tidbits of information. They gave me this hat. And I cherish this hat as a gift. Had I found this hat, I wouldn't have even bothered to make the jeepney stop last week off my head. I would have said, it's just a hat. But it's not just a hat. It's a very special hat. And I don't understand why I got to hear he's wearing a fedora. He's got a fedora on his head. He's got a fedora on his head. What is I don't understand where the action comes from. And back to the videotape. So you know, and I know what a super is. For John Escape, we will sing again the thank you song. And thank you for bringing Toilet Flushing 103 to the attention of the world, baby. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, let me tell you what I did this morning while I'm going down to the next comment. 4 days ago, my internet went off, which is another reason why I didn't get the computer yet. But I am so tired of hearing people on the internet telling me that you got the money already. You got the money. No, I didn't get the money. Warren got the information from my bank manager that I gave Warren, and it was incorrect. It didn't have a particular code for the bank. I won't tell you what the code is because then you'll know which bank I use. But it didn't have the code. And then I got the code and I wrote it down. And I said, you know what? That person that I was just talking to, not the manager, he wasn't in. I don't think she knew what the code was because she hesitated with giving me the code. First of all, she couldn't give me the NATO phonetic alphabet, which really upset me. It upset me to no end. The Alpha Bravo Charlie NATO phonetic alphabet. It upset me no end because that's their job, and she didn't know the NATO phonetic alphabet. That should be on every single person in Globe, Smart, the letter M. But when they say B sounds like C. Okay, David. David is not Delta. It could be something else. So I'm going to give you the NATO phonetic alphabet in its entirety. So Hanoi in the Philippines could not and would not happen. Hanoi in the Philippines is digressing back to the guy that talked nonsense about Canoy in the Philippines. Now, I already listened to Canoy speak and the way he words things, and then I'm going to tell you, there are just certain things about certain people that I believe is a certain way, and Canoy just confirmed it. Nobody would talk to him like that to his face, even today and tomorrow. Just like nobody has ever come up to me in the mall, anywhere I've ever been, and said anything but, hey, I know you from YouTube. How you doing? I watch your show. One guy last week was just watching my show, came to the mall and then saw me and said hello. I didn't ask him if he likes my show or not. He says, oh man, I was just watching your show, really cool show. And, he gave me that piece of information. So Canoy is saying to the guy who's running his mouth all over YouTube what he would do to this person and what he would do to that person and what he would do to this person and how certain things should happen to certain people. But in real life, it's the title, the meaning of the title of the movie of Mice and Men. There's a difference, a completely different persona than what you see in real life and what you run your mouth on YouTube. Two different things altogether. Two different things altogether. Maybe three different things. Maybe in some people's cases that have above legal alcohol levels, maybe they don't understand that they have crossed a line in the sand, so to speak. Maybe their cognitive ability is not intact because of their inability to comprehend reality. See, this moves me to one other point. There is nobody on YouTube, not just in the Philippines, but there is nobody on YouTube that I know of besides Wes from One Lonely Farmer that has an equal amount of skill sets that I do. And that Wes doesn't operate a crane, may never have operated a crane, but Wes could get into a crane after watching a crane operator operate the crane for a few hours and asking a few questions, and Wes could get into that crane and operate it. The same way Peter Powell, the Chinese friend of mine, watched the crane, and then one day said, Mike, I'm gonna try the crane. And I said, okay. I'm talking about within a few hours, not in the first day, but within a few hours, I was Peter Powell's low water man. I let Peter Powell hold 10,000 pounds of steel over my head, and I would make fast the chains and the slings to the poles. We're talking about 3 days of practice, and Peter Powell was a crane operator. Because there are certain people that have skill sets like that. They can just pick it up. There are other people that can do other things. But I heard last week some clowns saying that I didn't know how to operate a chainsaw. You know what? I don't know who you are. It's a fake account. But I'll tell you what. Me and you will go into a forest with witnesses. We'll fell a tree, and then we'll cut it up into timber. Okay, just you and me, and a container of gasoline and some chainsaw oil and our sharpeners. We'll go in and we'll just see. Maybe you're as good as me. Maybe you're better than me with a chainsaw. But you know what? You're going to come out of the forest knowing that I know how to operate a chainsaw. And I have a dozen videos on YouTube of me operating chainsaws. So you got people on a person who consumes, in my opinion, too much damn alcohol, talking about me not having the ability to operate a backhoe, a crane, and or a chainsaw. And then he reiterates the fact, methinks you drink too much. It should have been a quote from Shakespeare. Methinks you drink too much. Methinks. And back down to the comments. And let's get on with the show. Canoy says it cannot and would not happen to somebody abusing him to his face. No matter the outcome, I believe Canoy would at least put a very big effort into making that person think before he did it again, no matter what the outcome is going to be. Because everybody goes into those situations believing that they're going to be the, at the end of the day, that they're going to come out on the top of the game. And it only doesn't work like that. It only works one way. But real men move into a conversation like that with the intention of coming out the victor. And real men typically in their mind never falter on that belief, because they don't go around doubting themselves because underachievers or less successful. They're not underachievers. Real men are overachievers. Everybody thinks they're an achiever, but then according to their accomplishments, not monetarily, but their actual accomplishments, what they've done in life, that's what separates the men from the boys. And as I said before, of mice and or men. Some people have the caljons, the boys, the itlugs, the nuts to succeed in life, where others have taken the low road and or what the Bible calls slackers. Slackers, Slacker, slackers. Look up the word slackers and then put it in the contents of the Bible. Slackers are people that could have achieved more in life, but they didn't, because they're just basically lazy people. Slackers. It's a biblical thing. John Escape says hello to Jack Thompson. Jack Thompson says hello to John Escape. Darwin and Sabs Travels says hello to John Escape. John Escape says hello, Canoy. Hello, Canoy says how Darwin and Sab. Well, we got up because Canoy, we are so far away from the donations to the Church of Christians Plus. Canoy in the Philippines says hello, brother. Brother, that's the word I want to hear today. The Easter Sunday eulogy should be, remember three things, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, we are all brothers and sisters on the Chi Corsairs, the Big E, the Canoy, the Michael Fazio, the Darwin and Saab, the Hapsters, and check out the Riley Show. We are all brothers and sisters under the umbrella of the Church of Christians Plus, where you have to remember at all times, salvation is only a super chat away, baby. And let's move down and then we're going to make a rainbow. It's a rainbow, flashing colors on my screen. Chi Corsair says, hello, brother Canoy. Canoy says, hello, sister Chi. John Escape, hello, brother from Canoy. John Escape gets some big hands up from Jack Thompson. Another man, an achiever, an overachiever. Jack Thompson is another man. There's lots of men out there. Fair not. And if they knew each other, they would be friends. Like when I worked in the marine construction industry. I worked with some of the toughest guys you ever heard or read about in your life. Some of these guys, I don't want to tell you the kind of guys that I worked with. They were tough guys. Okay. And you know what? In the few years that I worked as a dock builder, every dock builder we climbed steel, we climbed on booms, we would get into a 20 or 30 yard bucket, weld the bucket shut, and then put in a 500 amp Lincoln welder and 100 foot of cord, and then another crane with a 160 foot stick on it would pick us up to a boom that was maybe 120 foot tall, and we would weld whatever welding repairs we would do on the top of the boom. Now you got to remember, we're inside a bucket that we just welded shut. And theoretically, the bucket should not open if the guy drops the one wire or the two wire, depending on the configuration. But it could. It could. So some of us wore harnesses and some of us didn't. I for one, sometimes I would wear a safety harness, but most times if I was walking steel, no. But Jack Thompson is, and so are a lot of other people. So my point was, in the Dock Builders Union, as tough as everybody was, as much drinking as the men did at night, never did I ever see a fist fight in the Dock Builders Union or on the tugboats for two reasons. One, Big Kevin will tell you you're not allowed to fight after the boat or the barge leaves the dock. It's not allowed. You will get canned forever for fighting out on the water. Number one. Number two, all your problems had to be resolved in a non-fisticuffs way out on the water, because you weren't allowed to fight or you'd lose your job for life, number two. And number three, by the time you got back to the dock, most everybody was calmed down to the point where you didn't want to fight anymore. But on the hard pack, couple times that happened, but it was over nonsense. One time a guy set off 1,000 pounds of that's a story for another day. Anyway, it's Holy Week, baby. John escaped. It is Holy Week. And remember, in the name of God, in the name of sweet Jesus, remember those three things, ladies and gentlemen. It is better to give to the Church of Christians Plus, and for the Church of Christians Plus to receive and give to me, than it is for you to receive from me to you. Always remember, that's thing number one. Thing number two, salvation is only a super chat away. Salvation is only a super chat away. And number three, God loves you. My brothers and sisters, God loves you. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. God loves you, brothers and sisters. And remember those three things. It is better for you to give than to receive to the Church of Christians Plus. And our motto at the Church of Christians Plus is super chat, super chat, super chat. Salvation is only a super chat away. And for those people, we're going to talk about the people that are calling me a fraud. We're going to talk about those people. They demand, in the name of some fictitious something that most of them are atheists anyway, they demand that no one gives super chat to Big Kevin. Yeah, baby. Don't give super chat your money, because Big Kevin doesn't deserve it. But I think Big Kevin does deserve super chat. I think Big Kevin deserves super chat because he has no real source of income other than super chat, number one. Number two, I think Big Kevin is funny sometimes. Number two, don't give Fazio super chat. Came to the Philippines with no money. Oh, yeah? What did I live on for the last 6 years before there was super chat? What did I pay my bills with for the last 6 years before there was super chat? What the fraudulent statements? But there is one truism between these people, 2 or 3 bloggers. There is one truism that supersedes all the other words they said, and that is, do not give super chat to fraudulent and scammer channels. And what happened? The scammer channels and the fraudulent channels didn't receive any super chat. So the demands of the people, or what I call haters on YouTube, their demand to not super chat the scammers, even though I was called a scammer and a fraud and a shyster, even though I was called a shyster, a fraud, and a scammer, the demand by some of the bloggers, do not give the frauds, the scammers, the shysters on YouTube any money. And then in one day, I mentioned that I need a computer, and in one day I got pledges for $3,000. Although one of the men that have demanded that nobody gives the scammers, the frauds, and the shysters money, in 3 years, he has received about $100 for a computer. So his demands have been met, and he's still an angry man. So just want you to know, the Lord works in mysterious ways, ladies and gentlemen. And now we're going to talk about the Canoy in the Philippines, another 10 Canadian dollars, and we're going to sing. But first, we'll read the wordsmith. The wordsmith is about to abuse verbally that pair of fish belly white chicken legs sticking out of those shoes, striped briefs that were empty as old Mrs. Hubbard's cupboards, reminded me of a death investigation. Look like corpse legs. who but a wordsmith would come up with this scenario? The portraying of chicken white legs and a death investigation. Who comes up? Where does this stuff come from? The word, and we haven't even gotten to the wordsmith super chat yet. And when we do, we're gonna make a rainbow, baby. It's so salamat for the wordsmith. So let's just read it again. That pair of fish belly white chicken legs sticking out of those shoes, striped briefs that were empty as old Mrs. Hubbard's cupboards, reminded me of a death investigation. Look like corpse legs. That's a statement. Look like corpse legs. Should have. This statement should be posted on everybody's channel. Everybody that is doing live stream, because, ladies and gentlemen, had there been a mishap on my live stream, I want to show you something, by the way. I want to show you something. Watch this. Watch what I do here. I'm going to sit on my box, okay? I'm going to show you that underneath my shirt, I have pants on. See the pants? Now, they're black, and they have paint all over them. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't even do live streams unless I'm fully dressed. I don't do live streams unless I am fully dressed for a very specific reason. Well, first of all, my camera, it has a clip on it. And if I clip it a certain way and it falls down and I got caught with my pants down, so to speak, I would never hear the end of it. So when you're doing a live stream, there should be rules. One rule number one, we're going to go where I'm going to make them up right now. I'm going to put on your thinking cap. Rule number one, never blog in your underwear. Number one. Rule number two, if you're going to scratch your galvanized steel nuts, then this is scratching. Watch it. 1, 2, 3. Now, could be that you think that you have to scratch the other nut. So you could give the other nut 3 scratches too. 1, 2, 3. But anything more than 3 scratches, that's not scratching your galvanized steel nuts anymore. That's moving on to another plane of consciousness. That's number one. You always dress in full gear. Whereas right now, if I have to go outside, I just walk outside, no problem. Let's say there's an emergency outside. I just run outside. I am dressed for the occasion. I am dressed to collect Super Chat for the Church of Christians Plus and to speak the logos of the Church of Christians Plus. It is better for you to give and for me to receive. And remember, Super Chat, Super Chat, Super Chat. Salvation is only Super Chat away. I am dressed for the occasion. So number one, always wear clothes when blogging, number one. Number two, if you're going to scratch your nuts, scratch your nuts 3 times. That's it. But number three, if you're going to go swimming and you have a snorkel, and you have a snorkel that has, let's say it has hair or something on it, right? And you want to rub your snorkel, just rub it, like, get the hair off it like this. This is rubbing the snorkel. That's not. But what I saw, it could be, there's a very fine line between rubbing dirt or sand off your snorkel and, you know what I'm saying? I'll leave it up to your imagination. If you're gonna scratch. If you're gonna rub, just a quick rub, the sand off. But anything more than that is questionable. And had I done that, there would be an endless amount of live streams. There would be no end to the fact that I would be abused daily, on a daily and hourly basis. I think there are bloggers out there that drink too much alcohol that would abuse me day in and day out. And by the way, I enjoy his videos because I laugh knowing that man and I have talked and he knows my skill set. So everything that he says on YouTube about my lack of skills, he knows different. So either alcohol has consumed the better portion of his neurons and or has made the synapses between the dendrites in his brain insignificant in compared to somebody else or somebody that doesn't drink alcohol. Either he knows that my skill sets supersede not only his skill sets, but most other people's skill sets in construction, except for electronics. I have no knowledge of electronics. But he and I talked on the phone. So he is, in fact, pulling your chain when he tells you that I don't have skill sets. So I laugh when he says that I don't have any skill sets because he knows better. And if he's serious and believes that I don't have skill sets, well, then methinks he drinks too much. But the other guy, now that's a whole different ball of wax there. There's got to be something else going on there. I don't know what's going on there. So going back to Scott Del Fuego, and the 3 things: you wear clothes when you're blogging. Clothes should be a number 1 priority. Number 2, if you're gonna scratch your nuts, your galvanized steel nuts, 3 scratches. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Done. My galvanized steel nuts have been scratched. Done deal. And number 3, if you're gonna rub your snorkel, a quick rub. This is an inanimate object. You don't massage an inanimate object. You just rub it off. And that's different than rubbing one off, which, when you go to the videotape, what can I say? So we have Canoy in the Philippines. So we're going to sing. Another thing, look at my hair. My hairline is already back. It's back down there 3/8 of an inch. But I did clean up the mess on the side over there. Thank you very much, Canoy in the Philippines. Salamat. And thank you for concurring with my belief that if someone walked up to you and told you you were a fraud and or a charlatan and or they were gonna, I don't know, let's say somebody had some lame brain thing that you were on the beach and they ran by and sand got blown in your face and that they just didn't think that it was important. I think you're the kind of guy to go over there and talk to them about that. I think that and I just got that feeling because of your confidence on the live streams from Big E, I believe that Canoy in the Philippines is, in every respect, a man. Okay, does different skill sets. Wes from One Lonely Farmer, I spent a day at his farm. He's a man. His children are men, even at a young age. They are men. Most of the men in my family were men, did man's work. Had an uncle that was gay, and he was a beautician, but he was a good man. Okay, he would, if you asked my uncle, I can't say his name, if you asked my uncle a question, he would spend an hour making you understand the answer to that question. Whatever tools and or visual things that he needed to teach you to show you what the answer to your question was. Where, as the real men in my family, they go ask your father, or go ask Bobby Calise. Well, Bobby Calise would say, go ask your father. Or Frankie Calise would say, go ask your father if I asked him a question. But my other uncle, the gay uncle, he was a gentleman. Everybody loved him in the family. Everybody admired him for him bringing up two beautiful children. Nobody had a problem with him. But he was the most teaching of all my uncles. If you asked him a question, he would stop and go find a book or try to make you understand, or he would actually take you outside and explain something to you. Like you would ask him, how does the pool filter work? And you wouldn't get an answer. But the one uncle, he'd bring you out and show you the basket, the strainer, and he would tell you that there's a pipe. And I didn't even know what a pipe was, and he was explaining this stuff to me, and I remember it. So all the men in my family were men. And they were men for different reasons. But there are men that are not men. There are men that are not men. There are men that appear to be men, but not men. It's like one of those expressions in the Bible. They appear to be, but they are not men. And Canoy is not one of those men that appears to be men. And he confirmed it, that if you were to mouth off to him, which you probably wouldn't do because of his stature and size, if you were to mouth off to him, he might have a retort that you didn't like, verbal, or possibly the make you understand that you were moving someplace you didn't want to be. I would think that Canoy would do that. Now, me personally, not a lot of people do that to me. And in my whole life, a couple of people did. Some even beat me down into the ground. But a few other people didn't want to go there. Even though they wanted to go there, they realized that if they go there, it's going to be a confrontation, and they backed down. And some of them were not happy that they went there. But there are people that just run their mouth all over YouTube that would not do that to anybody in person. And certainly not Canoy or Big E or John Escape or Scott Del Fuego. All men that I know personally have talked to. Even other men. There are a lot of men out there. There's a lot of guys out there. And once you realize that they're men, you give them the respect that's due to them. There is no reason for a physical confrontation. But there are some men that don't comprehend reality so well, because methinks they drink too much beer. And Canoy in the Philippines, we're going to sing for salvation in the name of the Lord. Happy Easter. Remember those three things in the name of the Lord. It is better for you to give, especially during Easter and Holy Week and the week after and the week after that. It is better for you to give to the Church of Christians Plus and for me to receive than it is for you to receive from the Church of Christians Plus. That's one motto, one of our prophecies. And the second thing is Super Chat. It is a well-known fact that salvation is only a super chat away. And Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you take yourself too seriously and you demand, and this is the third axiom at the Church of Christians Plus, when you demand in the name of whatever it is that's going on inside your mind, when you demand that scammers and frauds and charlatans and shysters and great people like Big Kevin and myself and Chi Corsairs and Big E's benefactors, when you demand that these people, even Bama deserves super chat. I don't know anything about Bama, but I don't have a problem with people super chatting Bama. He got nothing. Why take that away from him? Especially when you've been put, I won't say it. I was good. The demand went out that nobody gives Fazio super chat. Nobody gives Big Kevin super chat. Nobody gives Bama super chat. Nobody gives Chi Corsair super chat. All people that put on a good show. But the demand also went out. Do not give scammers, frauds, charlatans, and or scammers, frauds, and or charlatans super chat. And then what happened? The channel that demanded that nobody gives super chat to scammers, frauds, and charlatans didn't get any super chat. And so now God, in a way, in God's sick, twisted mind, God gave that channel and the proprietor of that channel his wish. Do not give super chat to channels that don't deserve it. Even though there was a caveat that his channel deserves super chat. But he said, don't give super chat to channels that are undeserving in the name of the Lord. Don't give super chat to the channels that are scammers in the name of the Lord. Don't give super chat to shysters from New York in the name of the Lord. Don't give super chat to Big Kevin because he's going to use the money in a false way in the name of the Lord. Don't give super chat to scammers. And God granted his wish. And God eggs him on one Gamai super chat at a time. A dollar here, a dollar there, a dollar here, a dollar there, a dollar here. You know that the great Scott Del Fuego? No, we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. We could go there, but today it's Easter. I just spared you a story that would make you laugh till you cried, and then you'd run out of tears. You'd have to drink water if I told you the story about what Scott Del Fuego is capable of. Nope, I won't do it. But you, Scott Del Fuego, you made me laugh the last couple of days. Thank you very much. So, and thank you very much. Tannery in the Philippines, salamat. Thank you. Oh my God. Oh, no, I won't go there. I won't talk about that. John Escape, the rainbow can't be stopped. Big E gives Tannoy in the Philippines absolution. Now, all kidding aside, if you listen to Big E and you listen to him talk about the Calvinist philosophy of religion, he goes into levels of religion, whereas when he stated that he understood the Lutheran philosophy and the Calvinism and the Catholic philosophy and the Christian, Big E knows more about religion than I ever will and or ever care to. So Big E actually does know about religion, and that's why I'm putting Big E in charge of the underworld of the Church of Christians Plus. Big E is going to be what we will call a reverend to the single women in the Philippines. And he will take these girls into what was once a giant underground water tank. It's about 9 feet wide and 16 feet long and 9 feet high. It was for a big building. And we're going to put a staircase down into the water tank, and down there will be private ceremonials held to sanctify the girls that are single in the Philippines and to teach them how to do research on the internet about the men that they wish to meet. Then, for a small fee, of course, for a small fee of only, I do want to say it's going to be, if the men that want to meet these women, there's going to be a small fee of $100 to do a background check. Big E will be doing the background checks from the Church of the Underworld, the dating service below ground level. $100. So if a man wants to meet a woman, first the background check gets done. Number one. Number two, he has no spousal abuse or child abuse, nothing like that. We will not tolerate that in the Church of Christians Plus. This is a serious thing. So be $100 for that service. Then for the woman, if the in America wants to meet a woman in the Philippines, let's say the woman weighs 50 kilos. Okay, unlike Saab, who looks like she weighs about 60 kilos. So let's just say the average Filipino weighs 50 kilos. There'll be a book with the fact that the girl has an NBI clearance where she has no wants or priors or arrest records for anything malicious. That woman that weighs 50 kilos would be $10 a kilo in order to get her background information. So that'll be $500 US. So the man in America or Europe is going to pay $500 to meet the woman. $10 a kilo. Everything is based on the kilos because this is the metric system, right? Now the man, he weighs 100 kilos and he wants to come to the Philippines. Well, we, like Rod Sterling said, and on the Outer Limits, we are in control of all dating in the Church of Christians Plus in the underworld. So the man that weighs 100 kilos, he's going to be charged $10 a kilo each way. And we will find him a place to stay. The first 5 days are going to be on the arm, as they say, libre, free of charge. And they'll be held in either rooms, they'll be held in rooms either immediately near the church or on the property of the church itself, because the church is also going to be 4 stories, which is a big advantage because it's right next door to the hotel. So at one point, I didn't think I was going to have enough room up on top to put the jet skis, the gyrocopter, and store the ultralight up there, because it's best to store the ultralight up on the roof. Get a really big wind. If you get a really big wind, and it comes in off the ocean at like 30 knots, you can just take right off from the roof itself. I mean, who's better than me? You got to have, maybe we could put a small catapult up there like they have on the aircraft carrier. And now that the church is going to be directly backed up to the hotel, we could put a catapult facing the ocean. Won't be able to land on the church. It's going to be the one drawback with the amphibious Kruger Signet 3 plane. But you will be able to land the gyrocopter up there. And I did speak with, let's just call him Brother Stan. Brother Stan said, if you put a concrete roof on the church and there are no winds to prevent you from landing on top of the church itself, there shouldn't be a problem as long as your gyrocopter has vertical landing and takeoff. However, if there's a big wind, they would advise against it. So, but still, the wings, or the rotor blades, they all fold up into one, and the whole package can be picked up with the same winch that picks up the jet skis and the Kruger Signet 3, because the wings are collapsible on the Kruger Signet 3. It's just it's like a wood dope and fabric, but it's mylar and fiberglass or carbon fiber ribbing. So everything can be stored on top of the church. Immediately below will be where I preside, and immediately below that is, of course, the Warren H. Pavilion, okay, where Warren hopefully will be able to attend the ceremonies next door. Because Warren, you can think what you want about Warren, but Warren has a hidden agenda. He's a very religious man. I didn't know that until just recently. I asked Warren yesterday what his favorite song was. And I would think it would have been Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd, but it's not. No, it's Rock of Ages. Rock of Ages, sing to me. Super chat is what I see. Salvation is only a super chat away, said Warren H. as his favorite song today and yesterday, too. That's right, baby. Salvation is only a super chat away. And back to the videotape. Let's go to the videotape. We see rainbows. I see rainbows. Jack Thompson, the A-team, baby. Big E, you are absolved, Canoe in the Philippines. Big E, thank you, my brother. Brothers and sisters, unite. The A-team. Jack Thompson tormented some of those who I think drinks too much this week. He tormented them. The orange hair is all over the floor somewhere. The orange hair is all over the floor somewhere. And we have rainbows. Big E says, LOL. Chi Corsairs, stay home, baby. Chi Corsairs giving the medical advice. John Escape, Scott Del Fuego. Super chat to save the wretched soul. Rock of Ages, cleave to me. Super chat to save your wretched soul. Warren H. is more religious than I ever thought. I could hold, I can hold, I can hold, I can hold all his money. Because when Warren gets here, he'll have a Warren H. Pavilion. Honey, bring me closer to God. And the Pinoys, Pasta Fazio, says Scott Del Fuego. In the name of the Lord, Brother Scott, we pray that you come to the Philippines. And I will personally see to it where, and it won't be the island of Bohol, where is your best possible access? And we are going to waive the freight charges because it would go for the Del Fuego. There will be no freight involved for the bringing here and going home. And there will be no fees if there is a woman in Bohol for you to meet. All fees are going to be for the Del Fuego because of the amount of goodwill, cheer, and super chat that the Del Fuego has sent to Michael Fazio, plus the fact that I consider Scott. I can't, you know that Scott, and I'm not being facetious, and I'm not being surreal, and I'm not being sarcastic, and this isn't satire, and it isn't comedy. There are people in this world that make the world a better place for others to live in. And Scott Del Fuego is that person that has done that his entire life. Altruistic or not, Scott Del Fuego has made the world a better place. And there will be no charges at all for the flights to the church or back. There will be no charges for advice. There will be no need for background checks. And I will personally try to interview some of the women that would be interested in meeting the Del Fuego. So thank you, Scott. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much, Scott Del Fuego. So now, with that, I want to make a rainbow I want to make a rainbow. First, one quick lesson. If you're going to scratch your nuts on YouTube, first of all, I suggest no more than 3 quick scratches. Here you go. This is scratching of the nuts. Watch. 1, 2, 3. And if you got both nuts that need to be scratched, you could scratch them like this. 1, 2, 3. Anything more than that, and it looks like you're playing with your taffy. I gotta tell you, there was a video that was put out recently. It looked like a man was making Turkish taffy. That's right, baby. Completely different. Scratching your nuts, Turkish taffy. I gotta tell you, it looked like a gamai, a small Turkish taffy factory. That's what it looked like to me. Bring me closer to God in the Pinoy's Pasta Fazio. In the name of the Lord, Brother Scott, we pray for your safe. Scott would be here right now today if it wasn't for this thing that's going on. We pray for Scott's safe arrival. Big E, butt buddies, says Big E. Ha, butt buddies. I think he's referencing Warren and I. We were called gay for each other, Warren and I, by name, by name, we were called gay men for each other. And there's also with the caveat that the man who was calling us gay by name, he knew everything there was to know about gay men. I don't know how he knew, but he admitted that he knew about gay men when he saw them, and we, Warren H. and I, were gay for each other. And even nobody, of all the people on the internet, of all the millions of people on the internet, only that one man knows it for sure. How he knows it? How do he know? How do it know? I don't know. I don't know how it knows. I thinks he's delusional. I thinks that, saith Michael. I think you drinks too much. I think you drinks too much. I think you drinks too much. That's my opinions. That would be my opinions plus. Now, let's talk about Super Chat. I have a camera here, and let's talk about rainbows, flashing colors on my green. I see orange, and yellow too. And then I know I see a blue from John Escape. The toilet was flushed in the name of the Lord and Havoc Master. Let me be frank about this. If you are filming your legs, do not scratch your nads. In the name of the Lord, Canoy says it's pot time. Canoy says bang the pot, Mr. Fazio. Vinny Barbarino, keep up the good work, Michael. And then we make a rainbow too. Let's start again. Let's start with blue. Keep up the good work, Michael, says Vizzy Barbarino. Canoy in the Philippines says, bang the pot, Mr. Fazio. And then he says, pot time. Havoc Master says, let me be frank about this. If you are filming your legs, do not scratch your nads. Otherwise, you'll look like a little sis. Havoc Master and the wordsmith all are on my show. But John Escape said the toilet must be flushed, and we gave him toilet flushing 103. Canoy in the Philippines says, this is for salvation. Salvation, says he. Salvation for the Church of Christians Plus, and salvations for our Super Chat. Super Chat. Super Chat. It's only salvation away. Salvation is only a Super Chat away. You must remember that today. Scott Del Fuego. Bring me closer to God and the Pinoys, Pastor Fazio, and we see a rainbow on the screen. It's a rainbow. It's a rainbow. It's a rainbow on my screen. It's a rainbow, it's a rainbow, it's a rainbow on the screen. La da da, la da da. I just saw Dennis Adams in the chat. We have to get back to the chat. Salamat, everybody. And we're back down to Scott Del Fuego and John Escape. Do it, do it, do it. The throne of knowledge. Oh my God. Does anybody remember the